We have some multiple updates revolving around this Celtics team as we have seen some electrifying performances from Kristaps Porzingis as of late, where he's had to step up and absolutely deliver, being one of those guys to stay ready coming out of this illness. Plus, a little bit of a injury update as Jaylen Brown has some concerns going around, and we're going to be breaking down all of that revolving around his injury, getting into that and more on this episode of Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Velez with my co-host Patrick. And Patrick, once again, the Celtics gave us another great show versus the Utah Jazz, in which Kristaps Porzingis was sensational.
This game went pretty smoothly for the Celtics. Honestly, they were able to keep the same pace and play well and just not ruin their deficits and just keep the lead the whole game. And it was a very smooth game by the Celtics.
100%. We'll get into that in a little bit as well. If you guys are enjoying the content, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We're getting closer and closer to almost 6,200 subscribers, and we're trying to get to that goal of 7,000 by the end of this season. So let us know your thoughts down below in the comment section. And Patrick, let's get into the news revolving around the Celtics team. First, though, before we dive into, the game recap going over Kristaps Porzingis and his electrifying play, let's dive into a little bit of an injury update because Porzingis has had to step up and deliver for the Celtics team, all due to the fact that the Celtics have had someone injured, and that player is Jaylen Brown. We got a little bit more clarity on his injury. As we saw yesterday, he was ruled out versus the Utah Jazz with some right near posterior impingement alongside Xavier Tillman, who was also ruled out. And the Celtics gave a little bit of a further detailed report on this, letting us know that he's been diagnosed with a bone bruise with a posterior impingement on his right knee, and it'll miss those next two games. He'll be reevaluated on Monday. So missing this Jazz game and missing this Blazers game, and the Celtics will be playing in this back-to-back Sunday and Monday, Portland and Sacramento, and he could be available for that game, but Jaylen Brown is at 56 games played. He needs 9 more for all NBA eligibility. He's out the next two, so he'll only have 11 possible games if you include Monday visit to Sacramento. What are your kind of thoughts on this and overall reactions to this Jaylen Brown injury as we get some more further details and kind of look at the breakdown of it as well with him in All NBA?
I mean, I think it's just good for him to just get this rest with how many games that are left and kind of get him ready and rolling for the playoffs so that everybody's all healthy. But it's also like a little bit concerning at the same time because he has missed a little bit of time and it's you really want him to be out there as much as possible. The awards don't matter at a point, but like of course you do want to see him win some awards, but at the same time you want to see him on the court playing well with all these guys and really getting that teamwork together, kind of getting the connection back and all these guys missing so many games recently. So you really want to get things moving back to normal right before the playoffs start. So I'd really like to see him back by Monday.
100%. And you mentioned that, right? Jaylen Brown, he missed that Miami game, was back versus Brooklyn in that first contest, but missed the following two versus Brooklyn and Utah. Now is ruled out for this next game versus Portland. So, going to miss 4 out of his last 5 games that he could be scheduled to play in. And that's not the greatest for the Celtics, but also could be nice to get some rest for some of these guys. We've seen, obviously, Porzingis dealing with that illness. Jrue Holiday was dealing with the mount finger. All these injuries are coming up, but this rest that's going alongside with them sustaining these injuries could, lead to them to being ready and stronger coming back for this playoff start and for this playoff push. Also helps those younger guys kind of get in the feel. We saw Sam Hauser have a big game last night alongside Peyton Pritchard, kind of getting more comfortable, getting ready for the playoffs. We've also seen the importance of Baylor Shireman and stuff of that as well, which is also key to see. So it is actually not as bad as I think for the Boston
Mhm.
Celtics.
Yeah, I don't think it's as bad either. I mean, like we've been talking about, especially a game against the Jazz, that's one that the Celtics should win with their eyes closed, it feels like. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of those younger guys, main guys, going to get an opportunity. We saw JD Davison finally come in and get some minutes last night, so that was good. But it again, like if it was in a bigger game, I guess you're more concerned, but you expect the Celtics to get it done in games like that, and hopefully he will go back on Monday, even with Sabonis being out for the Kings and kind of just being empty-handed as well. But I mean, I think he'll be okay, but I really do want to see him ramp up soon. So that's why I think Monday would be awesome.
100%. I think, getting that extra rest on this back to back will be definitely helpful. Taking that break versus the Utah Jazz and, really gearing up, like we said, getting to 100% maybe to go full strength with this Celtics team. And like you mentioned, if he's eligible for LNBA, if he's not eligible, I don't think it's really going to affect how he's going to view the championship push for this Celtics team. But Patrick, you spoke about the game, so let's get into that kind of breakdown too, because we saw one player for the Boston Celtics be able to turn up and be absolutely on fire over this recent stretch of games for this squad, and that main man has been Kristaps Porzingis. As we've seen, the Celtics absolutely erupt with him back on this court. They won 121 to 199 versus Utah. You mentioned, kind of got to be able to win this game with their eyes closed, and we saw with that being done with Kristaps Porzingis. Absolutely phenomenal. 27 points, 10 rebounds, and six rebounds, where he was absolutely fantastic. And this was his third straight game since returning from illness, where he's been able to eclipse that 20-point mark, in which he got it by halftime versus Utah. He was that first option once again, and this was the second time he's done this season, just after his first 3 games of the year. We saw Porzingis, like I mentioned, 27, 10, and 6, his third highest total of the season, 29 versus Spurs, 34 versus the Bulls. What did you see from Porzingis that really gravitated you in this game?
I would say it's just jump shooting again. I mean, he'll miss a three, but they all look like they're going in every time he shoots it, but he'll go and get it back once again from the same spot and knock it down. I think that his jump shot is getting very consistent. And for him to be out for so long with the illness, and I mean, he's usually out with an injury. So I guess that was also a plus for him to kind of sit all those games and rest a healthy body and just really want to like have that motivation to be on the court because he wasn't able to get out on the court and he's not injured. So it definitely hurts your mentality a little bit, but I think for the fans, he really wanted to do it for them and play well, and that's what he's been doing. He's really been stepping up with Jaylen Brown being out and a couple of guys not really shooting the ball too well as of late. But I think he's really stepped up in a extremely positive way for this team and really just shows why he's the difference maker for this team going forward.
100%. And I love how you mentioned the jump shooting because he's nicknamed the Latvian laser for a reason. He can stretch that floor, he can hit those 3 pointers, and we've seen it with this Celtics team through stretches. Even when he returned from his, ankle injury around Christmas time, when he had that recent stretch where he was bouncing back, he was absolutely annihilating those 3 pointers. And once again, last night, shooting a pretty decent clip, 3 for 5 from 3 point range. Pretty solid, 60% from the big man. Obviously, being able to be a low post scorer as well and kind of be that guy. You saw that nice little pick and pass play with Jrue Holiday, the gimme back and forth. That was absolutely beautiful with a nice little bounce pass from Porzingis. But not only just that, he's able to be effective on the defensive side, combat against some of those other guys in Utah. And you also mentioned some of the younger guys getting some playing time. I didn't get it captured on this, sheet, but guys like Baylor Sharman got an early run early on for this Celtics game after his big performance versus Brooklyn. We saw J.D. Davidson getting some run. You even saw the Celtics at the end of the game having a main Celtics 5 with J.D. Davidson, Drew Peterson, Jordan Walsh, Namus Keita, and Baylor Sharman. All 5 guys who had played on that team. And that was just cool to see those guys actually getting that run. And you even saw, Jordan Walsh have some big impact plays at the late game too, which was really cool as well.
And like we keep saying, that these are the games that they're going to step up and really show their confidence and show why they belong on the court, just to kind of just change the momentum for the Celtics. If you need a gritty guy to get on the court, that's what they're going to do because that's what they need to do to get those minutes. And at the end of the game, the Celtics were up big, and that's still what they were doing, going for balls on the ground, going for some hard dunks, and just really like making their presence be known on the court to say.
100%. They're not going to, take those minutes for granted. They're going to make sure they can make that impact regardless of the opponent, regardless of the score of the game, to show to Joe Mazzulla, to show to this front office that, hey, I deserve to be getting playing these minutes. I can, make an impact or bring a role to this Celtics team, and that's what you love to see as well. When looking at Kristaps Porzingis, once again, like I said, these last 3 games, 27, 10, and 6, 25, 13, and 3, 24, 2, and 1. Like I said, you mentioned doing this without Jaylen Brown being available through these contests. It just, once again, just beautiful to see. Obviously, Jaylen Brown available in that one versus Brooklyn, but the other two, just great to see him stepping up, staying ready. Not to mention, it sticks through this Celtics team, not just with, guys at the bottom of their rotation like the Jordan Walshes or the Torrey Craigs that need to stay ready, but also the guys like Sam Hauser and Peyton Pritchard and Al Horford when they're called up to step and deliver, or even guys like Jrue Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, and Derrick White to really take over and stay up, or even Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. When it's time to answer the bell, when they're going up against the Lakers, they need to stay ready and deliver, and boom, do they do it? You got to love what this Celtics team brings top to bottom. And Patrick, I can't wait to see what we got in store for the rest of this regular season.
Yeah, there's been a lot of positives, especially at this point in the season. I think one small positive that I was noticing, they were talking about it on the broadcast, is the connection between Luke Cornett and Jason Tatum. They being one of I think the second best in the pick and roll this year, and just that connection is awesome, especially for Cornett being on that contract year and wondering where he's going to end up. And I think he can end up back there because that connection is just huge, especially as their backup center. So I think there's a lot of positives that have been going on, especially with these injuries, all these guys stepping up and just being able to just carry that momentum and do what they have to do and knowing their role. And that's why this team has what it takes to go back to back.
100%. I think you mentioned the Luke Cornett connection. I saw a stat referring to that. I believe it was either yesterday or the day before with their connections. And not only does he have a great connection with Jayson Tatum, but also with those guys on the bench and Sam Hauser and Peyton Pritchard as well, where, he just knows where to be, kind of fill in, regardless if he's coming off the bench or in the starting lineup. That's why he's so versatile and so impactful, I believe, for the Celtics team. And you mentioned him being a free agent. I'm hoping the Celtics can be able to, be able to get that with him because, he loves the city of Boston. He loves the role that he's been able to bring. And I'm hoping that that can still stand put with Luke Cornett, going into the off season. But we want to say thank you guys for tuning into this video and letting us know your thoughts down below in the comment section on all this Celtics news, breaking down Jaylen Brown injury update, looking at Kristaps Porzingis in his electrifying performances in these last 3 games offensively and defensively, and ultimately breaking down this Celtics team as a whole. Patrick and I have a lot of great content. If you missed and been enjoying this March Madness news, go check out the recent video where we broke down some potential prospects, ones that even have blossomed through this tournament as well. We'll be getting into more content for you guys as well on everything revolving around the Celtics team. So make sure you want to stay up to date, and we'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your day, and go Boston Celtics. Peace out, everyone.